Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RSBandB Updates Supplemental. This week, we're coming to you a bit earlier than normal in an effort to gather some more opinion on our start time as we highlighted in our last week's survey, but we'll get to that at the tail end of this week's show. First things first, RSBandB Update Supplemental is a part of RSBandB Update, the weekly RuneScape podcast at update.rsbnb.com. So this week's episode of Supplemental pertains to this week's main RuneScape update, and that's the banking update. The banking update is something that a lot of players have been asking for quite some time, and the bank really hasn't evolved in many meaningful ways since the launch of RuneScape 2 in 2004. It was needed in terms of usability, but we'll be talking about that more on the show coming up at the end of this week. So, looking back at the bank from RuneScape 2, there's been a couple of small changes, such as the ability to search, bank tabs, the ability to choose between swap and insert items when RuneScape 2 first came out, and of course the ability to resize the banking window with the new interface system last year. This has just been a couple of the changes to the banking system, but not as many as have been needed in the wider scheme of the game. So overall, it's a much needed update and a good update. And as I said, we'll talk about usability this Friday on RSBandB Update 460, which you can post questions for at rsbnb.com/forums. But before I leave you guys for this week, we're going to talk about a couple of notes that are genuinely required for this week's banking update and could go with a bit more saying on Jagex's part as to what is actually going on with this update. So the first things first, here in the banking window, pertains to that the swap button is gone. As you'll see down here, we don't have buttons to change between swap and insert mode. We have search, bank pin, the preset menu, load preset 1, preset 2, withdraw note, deposit inventory, what your character is wearing, familiar, and of course your money pouch, which we had before, but that button's gone. And it took me a couple of minutes to figure out what exactly was going on here, but it has enabled Jagex to pursue a rather interesting angle on this part of the bank update in terms of what is going to be the future of interaction for our game here. So what I highly suggest everybody do is just pick any item in your bank and move it around. And you'll see here, when I'm hovering over this 6-age circuit, it shows that I'm going to be swapping position with that item. Now, if I grab this imp, for example, rather than swapping with the Dragon Rider amulet, I can move this, and I get this tiny little rectangular box here, and that is the signification that we're now going to be inserting rather than swapping. This took a while to realize since it wasn't exactly highlighted as to what to do in the situation that you want to swap an item, but it is fairly clear once you start playing around. The only caveat I would say is that this is a very small drop interface, and that could of course be tweaked in later updates to expand it by a certain number of pixels, maybe 3 or 4. Alright, now the other thing to talk about is the player equipment screen here. Now previously, when you would click on an item, it would deposit that straight into your inventory right here. That is not the case anymore. It actually deposits it right into the bank, which can be a little bit confusing if you're not watching the tooltips. So once again, pay attention to the tooltips in this case, and you are presented with the old standard option of right-clicking and having a remove to inventory option. Following from that, I'm going to head over to the loadout presets menu, seeing as that's something else that isn't exactly apparent what's going on here once we begin. So first things first, you'll see I have a set number of presets: farming, runecrafting, my melee, and my magic. So you can, of course, customize these in any which ways that you want. And in order to do that, you just go to settings, and then you can say choose inventory or worn items, and then you can choose any variety of names here. That's fairly simple. Now, the thing is you have the preset backpack and the preset worn right here. And it might not be evenly apparent as to how you save an item into this preset, but you need to click this save button in order to actually have that interaction to happen. Editing the settings and clicking confirm will just change those settings, and they won't exactly modify what you have in the backpack and inventory presets here. Rather, it will just focus on what's set here, the preset name, and of course the inventory and the worn items in terms of what will be brought into that preset. To actually bring something in of what you're wearing, you need to press the blue save button, and conversely, to put something on, you just press the green load button. So to swap to runecrafting, we'll just press that, and there we go. You can see inventory has been swapped. All right, so that's pretty much all the highlighting I felt that we needed to do with this week's update. Now I'm going to direct you guys to last week's survey pertaining to where we want RSBandB Update Supplemental to go. Supplemental is something that we are interested in pursuing, and of course we'd like to hear from you guys about where this should go. And as you can see here, I got the survey up right now. It's fairly simple, only 7 questions, 8 if you count the comment form, where you can leave us any kind of compliments or hate mail or whatever you might want to do. But we'd greatly appreciate it if you could fill this out and tell us how we're doing and where you'd like us to go. Moving on from that, I'll just tell you guys to watch for the regular episode of RSBandB Update this weekend, episode 460. Questions topic has been posted on the forums at rsbnb.com/forums, and we'll see you then. Remember to follow us on Twitter at RSBandB for all of the updates that we push out this week, whether they be in forum articles or mentions of various RuneScape things going on, or just what we're up to in RS.